They do not break you with bullets or beatings. They break you with a rusted metal box, absolute darkness, and the echoing sound of your own heartbeat. Welcome to the facility where the United States military teaches its elite how to survive as a prisoner of war. Stand to welcome back to the briefing room. If you are new to this channel, here is the operational reality. I am a retired officer from the United States Special Operations community. I spent decades operating in the shadows, executing foreign internal defense, direct action, and unconventional warfare in countries that will never appear on my official record. Because of the active non-disclosure agreements I hold with the Department of Defense, my face is redacted and my name is off the grid. The military gave me a lethal skill set, but it took its toll in titanium hardware, fused vertebrae, and localized nerve damage. The Department of Veterans Affairs sends a disability check, but I am not here to rattle a tin cup. I am an officer. I work for my keep. This channel is a trade. I give you the unfiltered, classified reality of special operations training, the psychology, the tactics, the pain, and in exchange, you give me your engagement. You hit the subscribe button, you leave a like, and you drop a comment. That tells the algorithm to keep this channel alive, allowing me to stay independent and keep delivering this intel. If you respect that trade, lock, and load. We have a long movement ahead of us today. Today, I am taking you to the darkest corners of Camp Mackall, North Carolina. I am going to walk you step by step through the psychological meat grinder that filters out the pretenders from the quiet professionals. We are going to deconstruct the total isolation of the STAR course, followed immediately by the institutionalized trauma of SERE, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. I am not just going to tell you what happens. I am going to explain exactly how it feels when your mind starts eating itself, and how the instructors use your own biology against you. The process of becoming a Green Beret does not begin with shooting. It begins with isolation. The military understands that before you can trust a man to operate behind enemy lines, you have to know what he does when nobody is watching, when the pain is blinding, and when quitting is as easy as sitting down. This is tested in the Hoffman training area during the land navigation phase, commonly known as the STAR course. Imagine a tract of land that consists of nothing but dense pine forests, treacherous swamps, and waist-deep draws filled with stagnant black water and wait-a-minute vines, thick, thorny vegetation that wraps around your gear and physically pulls you backward. You are dropped onto a dirt road at 1 o'clock in the morning. It is 38 degrees outside. A cold, steady drizzle is falling. You are wearing a rucksack that weighs roughly 75 pounds. You have no GPS. You have no radio. You have a laminated topographical map, a protractor, a compass, and a red lens flashlight. An instructor hands you a slip of paper with an 8-digit grid coordinate. You have 4 hours to find this point. Your time starts now. Move. You plot the point on your map. It is 8 kilometers away straight through the brush. You cannot use the roads. If an instructor truck catches you walking on a road, you are failed on the spot and sent back to your conventional unit. You must bust brush. The first hour is a battle of pacing. You set your azimuth on the compass. Let's say it is 240 degrees. You pick a tree in the distance that aligns with that degree mark and you walk to it. Then you pick another tree and another. You are keeping a pace count in your head. Every time your left foot strikes the ground, you count. You know from calibration that it takes you roughly 71 left foot strikes to travel 100 meters. You use ranger beads, a small string of plastic beads attached to your gear to track your hundreds of meters. Pull one bead down, 71 more steps, pull another bead down. But the terrain refuses to cooperate. You hit a draw, a steep ravine filled with mud. You slide down the embankment, the 75-pound ruck driving your face into the dirt. You wade through freezing water up to your chest, holding your rifle above your head. The water floods your boots, your core temperature drops. You scramble up the other side, tearing your hands on the briars. And suddenly you realize you lost your count. Was it 400 meters or 500? Did you drift off your azimuth? In the civilian world, a minor mistake is an inconvenience. In the STAR course, a 1-degree drift over 8 kilometers means you will miss your target point entirely. You will be wandering in a swamp looking for a tiny orange stake in the dark. This is where the psychological unraveling begins. It is called the isolation effect. Humans are social creatures. We rely on external validation. When we are tired, we look to our peers to see if they are tired. If they are pushing, we push. In the STAR course, there is no one, just the rain and the darkness. By day 3 of this, you are operating on a cumulative total of 4 hours of sleep. Your body has depleted its glycogen stores. You are running on cortisol and adrenaline. The straps of the rucksack have dug so deeply into your trapezius muscles that your arms are going numb. The skin on your feet has macerated from being constantly wet, peeling off in large white strips inside your boots. Every step feels like walking on shattered glass. The hallucinations start. The brain, starved of sleep and sensory input, begins to manufacture its own reality. I remember walking through a patch of tall pines around 300 hours. The shadows cast by the moonlight started to twist. I clearly saw a fully stocked diner complete with neon signs and people sitting at the booths right in the middle of the woods. I could smell the coffee. I stopped. I took a step toward it. My rational brain knew it was impossible, but my primitive brain was screaming for calories and warmth. I had to physically slap myself across the face to break the illusion. The diner dissolved back into pine trees. I found men out there who had completely broken. I bumped into a candidate who was wandering in circles. He had dropped his weapon, dropped his map, and was crying. He wasn't crying because of the physical pain. He was crying because the math had overwhelmed him. He had missed his point, spent 3 hours doing expanding box searches in the dark, and realized he was going to fail. He had tied his entire identity to becoming a special forces soldier, and the woods had just stripped that identity away. I gave him the azimuth to the nearest hardball road so he could quit, and I kept walking. The STAR course has no room for pity. If you survive the isolation, if you prove you can navigate the physical world while your mind is fracturing, you are pushed forward into the true crucible. You transition into SERE. A survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. The military knows that special operations forces operate deep behind enemy lines. The statistical probability of compromise is high. If you are compromised, you must evade. If you fail to evade, you will be captured. SERE is designed to ensure that if you are captured, you do not become a strategic liability to the United States. Well, the training is divided into phases. The first phase is evasion. You are dropped into a vast training area with a small team. You are wearing sanitized uniforms, no rank, no name tapes, no unit patches. You are given a scenario. You are a downed pilot or a compromised reconnaissance team. You must navigate through hostile territory, hit specific communication checkpoints, and link up with a friendly partisan force for extraction. But the woods are not empty. They are filled with aggressor forces. These are regular army units tasked with hunting you. They have trucks, ATVs, night vision goggles, and tracking dogs. For days, you are the prey. The hunger you felt in the STAR course was just a warm-up. Now you are truly starving. You are given almost no rations. You are taught to scavenge. You eat whatever you can find: ants, grubs, pine needles. I remember catching a small, non-venomous snake. We didn't have time to build a concealed fire to cook it because the aggressor patrols were too close. So we cut off the head, skinned it with a tactical knife, and chewed the raw, rubbery meat while lying flat in the mud, listening to the sound of diesel engines searching for us on the nearby trails. The cold becomes a physical entity. You cannot move during the day, it is too dangerous. You must build a hide site. You dig a shallow trench, cover it with branches and leaves, and lie perfectly still for 12 to 14 hours. You cannot talk, you cannot stretch. The temperature drops below freezing. The ground pulls the heat out of your chest. You shiver so violently that your teeth chip. You have to urinate on yourself because getting up to relieve yourself would leave a thermal signature and a physical track. You lie in your own filth, freezing, starving, waiting for the sun to go down so you can crawl a few more kilometers. But evasion is a rigged game. The curriculum demands that you experience capture. Eventually, the net closes. The capture is violent. It has to be. The instructors need to shock your system to simulate the absolute terror of falling into enemy hands. We were moving through a dense thicket toward what we thought was a friendly extraction point. We breached a clearing. Suddenly, the tree line exploded with blank machine gun fire. Flashbang grenades detonated, blinding us. Men in mismatched uniforms swarmed us. They screamed in a fabricated, guttural language. They hit us not with closed fists but hard enough to disorient. You are thrown to the ground. A knee drops into the back of your neck. Your hands are ripped behind your back and heavy plastic zip ties are cinched down on your wrists so tight they instantly cut off circulation. Your hands go numb within minutes. Then comes the hood. A thick, coarse canvas sack is pulled violently over your head and tied at the neck. In that single second, your entire world disappears. You lose your sight, you lose your breath. The dust in the canvas fills your lungs. You are dragged to your feet by your webbing and thrown into the back of a cargo truck. You land on top of your teammates. You cannot see them. You can only hear them breathing and groaning. This is the psychological threshold of the resistance phase. In the military, you are taught that you are a weapon, you have agency, you have a rifle, you can fight back. When the hood goes on and the zip ties lock, that agency is deleted. You are no longer a soldier, you are a piece of cargo, you are completely helpless. The panic that sets in is visceral. Your heart rate spikes to 180 beats per minute. You hyperventilate inside the hood. You realize that your survival now depends entirely on the mercy of people whose job is to have no mercy. The truck drives for what feels like hours. They deliberately take sharp turns, brake hard, and accelerate to throw you around the metal bed. You are bruised, bleeding, and profoundly disoriented. When the truck stops, you are dragged out by your collar. You hear the sounds of the RTF, the Resistance Training Facility, the camp. It sounds like hell. They are playing audio loops at deafening volumes over massive PA systems. A mix of screaming babies, boots marching on gravel, and dissonant, shrieking static. It is designed to prevent you from thinking clearly, to prevent you from orienting yourself, and to induce a constant state of neurological stress. You are marched into a holding area. You are stripped of your gear. You are forced into stress positions. The wall sit. You must press your back against a wall and lower yourself until your thighs are parallel to the ground. You must hold your arms straight out in front of you. You are still hooded. Within 3 minutes, the lactic acid in your quadriceps begins to burn. Within 5 minutes, your legs begin to shake uncontrollably. At 10 minutes, the pain is so intense that you are silently screaming. If you drop your arms, an instructor corrects you, a sharp slap to the chest or a command screamed inches from your hooded ear. If you collapse, you are dragged back up and forced back into the position. The instructors are masters of breaking the human will. They understand that alpha males, the type of men who make it to this phase of special forces training, rely on pride and physical dominance. The camp strips that away. You cannot fight them. If you try, you fail the course you must endure. Eventually, you are processed and thrown into the box. The box is exactly what it sounds like, a rusted metal or wooden enclosure. Some are vertical, forcing you to stand but not allowing you to stand up straight. Your neck is perpetually bent. Some are horizontal. I was shoved into a horizontal box. It was roughly 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet high. The metal door slammed shut and the lock clicked. I was unhooded, but it didn't matter. It was pitch black. I had to curl myself into a tight fetal position just to fit inside. My knees were pressed against my chest. My neck was jammed against the ceiling. The box smelled of rust, old sweat, and urine from the hundreds of candidates who had been locked in there before me. At first, you try to stretch. You push against the walls. They do not move. Then the claustrophobia sets in. It is a slow, creeping panic. Your breathing becomes shallow because the air inside the box is stale and hot. The metal conducts the freezing cold of the night air, chilling your joints. You are left in the box for hours. Time loses all meaning. You have no watch, you see no sun, you are left alone with your thoughts. This is where the psychological warfare truly begins. The instructors know that physical pain is easy to compartmentalize. A broken bone or a torn muscle is an acute sensation, but isolation is a slow poison. In the box, your mind becomes your interrogator. You start to think about your family. You start to think about the warm bed you left behind. You start to wonder why you volunteered for this. The silence inside the box is contrasted by the chaos outside. You hear the guards walking past. You hear them dragging other students out for interrogation. You hear the muffled shouts. You sit in the dark waiting for your turn. The anticipation of pain is often worse than the pain itself. You brace yourself every time footsteps approach your box, and when they walk past, the relief is immediately replaced by dread for the next time. I remember my legs cramping so severely in the box that the muscles locked into rigid knots. I couldn't straighten my legs to relieve the cramp. I had to bite down on my own uniform to keep from screaming out in pain. I was shivering, starving, and broken. And then they come for you. As the door rips open, the blinding light of a flashlight hits your dilated pupils. Hands grab your uniform and pull you out. You hit the concrete floor. You cannot stand because your legs have forgotten how to work. They drag you down a hallway and throw you into an interrogation room. The interrogation phase is a masterclass in psychological manipulation. They sit you on a small stool. A bright light is shining in your face. Behind the light sits the interrogator. He is wearing a clean uniform. He smells like soap and coffee. So the goal of the interrogator is not to beat the information out of you. That doesn't work. The goal is to manipulate you into giving it willingly. They use the good cop/bad cop dynamic but evolved to a microscopic level of precision. The first interrogator is aggressive. He screams. He insults your intelligence. He insults your unit. He threatens you with more time in the box. He demands you sign a propaganda statement condemning the United States. You refuse. You stick to the big four: name, rank, social security number, and date of birth. He lives in a simulated rage. Then the second interrogator enters. The approach changes completely. He speaks softly. He turns off the bright light. He sits down across from you and offers you a cigarette. He offers you a sip of clean water. After days of drinking swamp water and freezing in a box, that sip of water looks like salvation. He speaks to you reasonably. Look, I know you are just a soldier following orders. I don't want to see you suffer. The war is over for you. Your command has abandoned you. We intercepted their radio traffic. They aren't even looking for you. Why are you suffering for a country that doesn't care? Just sign this simple document saying you were treated well and I will let you sleep in a real bed tonight. I will give you hot food. You have nothing left to prove. This is the most dangerous moment in the entire training pipeline. Your mind, starved of calories, sleep, and dignity, desperately wants to believe him. The temptation to just nod your head, to just sign the paper, is overwhelming. It is a physical ache in your chest. You rationalize it. It's just training. It doesn't mean anything. I'll just sign it so the pain stops. But if you sign it, you fail. If you give them more than the big four, you fail. You have to find a reserve of willpower that you didn't know existed. You have to look at the man offering you salvation, reject the water, and repeat your name, rank, and serial number. When you do that, the illusion of kindness vanishes. The interrogator's face hardens. He realizes you cannot be easily broken. He signals the guards. You are hooded again, dragged back down the hallway, and shoved back into the rusted metal box. The door slams, the lock clicks. You are back in the dark, but something is different this time. You are still freezing, you are still cramping, but a small, hard ember of pride begins to burn in your chest. You realize you survived the worst they had to offer. You look the devil in the eye, you refused his bargain, and you are still breathing. You realize that they cannot force you to speak. They can control your body, they can control the light, they can control the food, but they cannot control your mind unless you hand them the keys. This is the psychological armor that SERE builds. It teaches you that your ultimate weapon is not your rifle. It is your absolute, unyielding refusal to submit. As I lay in that box processing the interrogation, I heard a sound. Tap, 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 tap. It was coming from the thin metal wall separating my box from the one next to it. It wasn't a code, it was just a rhythm. I tapped back. Tap, 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 tap. In that pitch-black hell, that tiny sound was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard. It was another candidate, another soldier. He was telling me, I am still here, you are not alone, do not quit. We communicated through those taps for hours. It anchored my sanity. It reminded me of the brotherhood. The instructors could take everything away from us, but they couldn't stop us from being a team. The days blur together in the camp. You cycle through the box, the stress positions, the labor details, and the interrogations. You lose 10 to 15 pounds in a week. Your eyes sink into your skull. You move like a zombie. And then it ends. It does not end with a gentle announcement. It ends with a psychological crescendo. They drag you out of the boxes one last time. They line you up in a courtyard. You are hooded, shaking, expecting the worst. You expect another interrogation. You expect more pain. Then the command is given, remove hoods. You pull the canvas sack off your head. The bright sunlight blinds you. You blink, trying to focus your eyes. You are standing in a clean, open courtyard. The terrifying audio loops have been turned off. The instructors are no longer screaming. They are standing at the position of attention. They are no longer wearing mismatched uniforms. They are wearing their pristine U.S. Army dress uniforms, their green berets perfectly shaped. You look up. Rising slowly up the flagpole in the center of the courtyard is the American flag. And playing over the loudspeakers, clear and loud, is the Star-Spangled Banner. I am a hardened man. I have seen things in combat that I will never speak of. But I am telling you, when that flag went up and that anthem played, every single man in that courtyard broke down. Men who had survived the swamps, the hunger, the interrogations, and the box without shedding a single tear wept like children. We wept because we were free. We wept because we realized what that flag actually represents. When you have been stripped of your rights, treated like an animal, and locked in a cage, the sight of the symbol of your nation hits you with a physical force. You realize that you serve a concept that is worth the suffering. You understand at a cellular level why you swore the oath. As the instructors walk down the line, The same men who were torturing you an hour ago are now shaking your hand. They look you in the eye. Good job, soldier, welcome back. The transition is jarring. It takes days for your nervous system to spool down. You eat your first hot meal in weeks and your stomach immediately rejects it. You sleep in a real bed, but you wake up in a cold sweat thinking you are still in the box. But you are changed. The military took you completely apart. They dismantled your ego. They found every weakness, every insecurity, every fear, and they dragged it out into the light. And then they helped you build a fortress over it. When you graduate the qualification course and finally don the green beret, you are not the same man who stepped off the bus at Camp Mackall. You walk differently, you speak less, you do not get angry at trivial things. Traffic jams, bad weather, rude people, they do not register, because you know what absolute misery feels like. You know what the bottom of the barrel looks like, and you know that you can survive it. That is the true value of the Special Operations Pipeline. It produces a human being who is inoculated against panic. A man who can be dropped into the most chaotic, lethal, unpredictable environment on Earth and simply go to work. So why am I sharing this highly specific, institutionalized trauma with you? Because the architecture of resilience is universal. You will probably never be hunted by dogs in the woods of North Carolina. You will probably never be locked in a rusted box by interrogators. But life is going to put you in a box of its own making. Life is going to drop you into the star course. You will face periods of absolute isolation where the navigation points of your life, your career, your relationships, your health disappear in the dark. You will feel the crushing weight of responsibility digging into your shoulders. You will want to sit down on the log and wait for the bus. Life will interrogate you. It will offer you the easy way out. It will tell you